and all of the initiatives that you just rocked are important. Social emotional learning, trauma informed practices, restorative practice, they're all great. And here's where I differentiate for a lot of people in education. The way that those are delivered, Joe, are in what I call lesson-based curriculums. In other words, social emotional learning is a powerful tool. I am so glad that we have finally addressed the social and emotional needs of our students, right? But here's what I'm trying to get schools to understand, particularly coming back mid-pandemic, we're grabbing as many of those big binders as we can to help all of our students be successful coming back mid-pandemic. And what I'm trying to remind them is that, remember, all of those are lesson-based. And when I say lesson-based, I'm not putting it down, but in other words, it's going to be a lesson that a teacher goes through X amount of minutes. It's going to look like a lesson. It's going to tell you introduction, here's the objectives. And what I'm emphasizing is, what about putting relationships first? What about building your school on a rock of relationships instead of the sand of initiatives? Because what's going to happen is if we bring in all these big binders, and let's just be really direct. We're ready to talk about race and diversity and culture and all these great things. How in the world are you going to have these conversations if we don't even know each other? So my point is, and I'll say it. I'm not afraid. I think some schools are making a mistake. They're so busy and we're so used to grabbing all of these initiatives is that I'm like, what about relationship-centered learning first? What about RCL before SEL? Because not that SEL is not important. I'm not even trying to compete with them. I'm trying to get in front of them. I'm trying to say, what about the idea of just building and sustaining relationships as a foundation? So now we can talk about trauma. Now we can talk about race and culture and diversity. Now we can talk about those heavier, and for teachers, all of those conversations are all going to be initiated through a lesson-based curriculum. And the one thing that stands out about our tools is we're non-lesson based. You don't have to have a lesson to talk to a kid about, hey, what's your favorite drink? Or if you could have any ice cream topping, whatever. And you're like, well, that's stupid. That's irrelevant. No, that's exactly what you need to do to show that you're ordinary. And as we build that threshold, then as we move our threshold from extraordinary to ordinary, then we can start talking about those little bit deeper topics that schools want us to talk about and that we need to talk about.